in questions, and what we want to do is make sure we get some of buyers' most important questions answered for them.
And so there are many banks and there's many private mortgage companies that will offer out lending for non-warrantable condos. What that means to the borrower is oftentimes higher interest rates, higher down payments, and of course, with higher interest rate means they may have a more difficult time obtaining financing because that lender might look at that property more strenuously than something that is insurable by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac.
So, as real estate agents, we know a lot of things to be looking out for when we're showing a condo building to a buyer. But is there any specific questions that a buyer should be looking out for when they're inquiring about a condo building to see if it is warrantable or non-warrantable?
Well, I would assume that the majority of our buyers are looking at condos using the internet. However,
Mhm.
if some of them are actually down in town and looking at condos, the first thing they should look for is those for sale signs. How many of them are in the windows?
Mhm.
Many condos don't even permit you to put a for sale sign out front. So, you're stuck putting a for sale sign in the window. If a buyer is looking at those properties and they see many for sale signs, it might be a property that they want to steer away from. It's not saying it's not a great location. It's not saying that it wouldn't be a perfect second home because it steps from the beach, but it would be something that technically could have some risk that the buyers, aren't even positively sure of. And we want to make sure that as experts in our field, both you and I, we want to make sure that we, come through for that buyer. And if they really do want that property and it happens to be non-warrantable, we still would have a home, for that mortgage loan and see that loan through to the end.
Got it. So in most cases, there's definitely still going to be a product available for the loan. It just it depends on the road that they're going to take to get there.
Absolutely.
There might be some more flexibility for something that is a warrantable condo.
Absolutely.
Something else that I'll point out, particularly in our market as we're looking at properties, the first thing that we're usually looking for and asking for buyers is we have a lot of these condo buildings that were formerly hotels or motels. And today they may still operate as a hotel or motel, or they may not operate as a hotel or motel. But almost every time, if they were formerly a hotel or motel, we find that they end up being non-warrantable because they were formerly that hotel or motel. Do you say
Correct.
that's something that's going to happen more often than not if it has that word hotel or motel in the condo name?
Absolutely. We refer to them in the industry as condo tells. And it is very, very difficult to find financing for those. However, I know that there are probably a few local banks that might want to do financing for those sort of properties because they feel that the risk versus the reward is, within their guidelines. But
Hmm.
for a lender such as myself, the ability for a buyer to be able to allow someone to come in and use their unit, creates a little bit of risk. What if that person, that's using that unit happens to be unruly and destroys it? Well, they've destroyed that person's, home, and
Sure.
that's something that we look at as great risk, and probably, wouldn't want to finance ourselves.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, there's definitely avenues that we've worked with in the past to get those loans approved and get a buyer to closing. But to our point or discussion here about non-warrantable condos, they just may not be warrantable by some of those larger government investors. Correct.
Correct.
And I'll mention one of the other things that, to your point with the sale signs in the complex or the units there, the real estate agent, we're always looking, is there a lot of bank-owned properties in the complex? Because if most of those for sale signs are also bank-owned, then it may lower the likelihood that it could be an investable or an insurable loan.
Absolutely true.
I'm George Kemble here from Allied Mortgage. George, can you just tell us a little bit about who you are, what your company does, and what you represent?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me today, Adam. As you said, I'm George Kemble. I'm a mortgage banker with Allied Mortgage Group. I've worked for Allied now going on 7 years, and I've been in the mortgage profession now for 23 years. So I'm not just somebody that came into the business recently or during an uptick in business. I've seen the ups and downs, the goods and bads of business, and currently we're in a fantastic market. So when you wake up every day and you do what I do, and you feel like you're making a difference in people's lives, it really is a good feeling. And every day I get to experience that.
Terrific. George, if somebody needs to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Well, the two best ways to get in touch with me is always first my cell phone. My cell phone number is area code 856-287-0760. And my email address is gkemble, that's GKEMBLE, at alliedmg.com. And people can feel free to call at any time. I work from 8 a.m. until 9 p.m. every single day. That includes weekends because
Fantastic.
a lot of people go out and look for homes on the weekends. And if they want to put in an offer, they should know that their mortgage person is standing by waiting to help them.